All right, I'm going to get into game number one of this HotS show match. Spawning in the bottom right position, not exactly sure which team CSC is going to be Turek as the purple Terran. And in the bottom left position, spawning as the red Zerg, is going to be from Quantic. It is Hyun. All right.
Turuk, I believe he's playing for Virtus Pro. Hi everyone, by the way. We're moving over to Nathanias' stream so we can at least see some better quality because my internet is really bad. So hopefully things are going to work out. And yeah, this is going to be a best of 9 here. Turuk, he did lose to Dimaga in the previous show match, but Dimaga pulled out. He did not wish to continue, so Turuk is going to be considered the winner of the previous match, and he's taking on Hyun, which is going to be no easy task here.
Yeah, I know Hyun's a very strong player coming from Korea. You know exactly where Turek is from?
Oh yeah, he's Russian.
Oh, awesome. So this should be interesting. This is Heart of the Swarm, so we're going to have access to all these new units. Lots of interesting strategies coming up, and Turek is going to open up with a pretty standard barracks first, so no kind of command center first play, and most likely out of Hyun we're going to see a 15 hatch. Todd, any thoughts on what Turek might go for, if you know anything about his playstyle at all?
I know exactly what he's going to go for. He's going to go for mech every single game, usually with the first command center, and then he takes two gases, and he goes for the factory, and then from there, he either throws down a third command center, or he goes for more factories, and then mech with 2 armories, but yeah, mech every single game. I would be very surprised if he plays Bio a single one of them.
Yeah, mech's gotten quite a little bit of an interesting change. We have the Widow Mine, of course, being added, as well as the Hellbat. So both units that can do a lot of damage early on, as well as carry into the late game. Widow Mine's a little bit, a lot of damage output, and Hellbat's a little bit more tanky than regular Hellions. But we're going to have our spawning pool now going down for Hyun. So everything's looking pretty standard up to this point. No super fast gas out of Turek, and he's going to go for that 1 Rax expand. Command center does go down, and Hyun does see that start, so he knows he's not going to be under any immediate threat of pressure. Of course, we know Reaper's got a buff as well, so early game harass from Terran can be a little bit dangerous, but Turek knows that Hyun's going for a pretty standard opening as well.
You know, I said I feel, or I know that Turek is going to go for mech every single game, but I'm more interested in what Hyun is going to try to counter this with. Because we've seen Korean Zergs this day, they play very good against mech. They've been using roach drops. Did you see that in GSL?
Yeah. Oh man, I think it was Soul Key just decimated Marine King with a lot of that style of play. Roach drops can be very, very dangerous. And like you said, we have that double gas follow-up, so it does look like he's going to be going for a factory opening after his expansion. Leads very well into mech play. So what do you think? You think the new Heart of the Swarm units help deal with maybe this style of roach drops that can hurt mech armies? Because I feel like the Widow Mine can be a little bit more useful in dealing with units that get up close and personal.
Oh yeah, I think definitely this is going to help Turek a lot if he can get some Widow Mines around his army, not too close obviously. And if he can have Hellbats as well in the middle of his tanks and everything, it will be much better than in Wings of Liberty. Yeah. So I feel like Hyun is the big favorite going into this match, but Turek, he definitely has better weapons than he would have in Wings of Liberty against Hyun in Heart of the Swarm. So very curious to see exactly how this turns out here, and if Hyun really chooses to commit to those roaches drop, or if he tries to go for the macro game.
Yeah, we're going to have to see. We have a starport now starting for Turek, as well as a third base for Hyun. So it looks like Hyun wants to go into a super macro game. Roach Warren already going down, though, so he's going to be in a pretty solid position to deal with any early aggression, possibly Hellbats. But we're going to have Widow Mines coming out of a reactor for Turek, so it looks like he might want to be a little aggressive, possibly just wants to be really defensive against these roaches that could come up. A lot of mech plays about getting to the super late game, so I wouldn't be surprised if Turek just wanted to try to use the Widow Mines defensively. But we're going to have to see what exactly he wants to do with those. Your thoughts on the Widow Mine opening instead of any Hellions, Todd?
Yeah, I actually forgot to mention that, but yeah, he always opens with a couple Widow Mines for defense against Roach's pressure. And then once he has 4, he will drop them with his medivac and try to do some damage, and then try to get out of there if he can. Usually this does not do too much damage, but I mean, you can try. You can sometimes cause some mistakes from your opponent. Uh, by the way, sorry, but do you think you could list your stream as for this tournament on Team Liquid so that it appears on the main
Oh,
page?
okay. I wasn't okay. What exact event is it? I'll switch it in a second.
The sc2tv.ru Heart of the Swarm Showmatch.
Okay.
And we see cScTuruk right now hiding on 2 more factories. No third command center just yet. He's gonna go for the first. Okay, 2 armories, just like he seemed to be doing every single game against the Maga previously. He's gonna wanna upgrade as much as he can. And the Medivac tries to get in now. He's gonna drop those mines and burrow them. Oh, the Medivac dies.
Oh,
So there's nothing to be.
none of them get off on any of these units. Oh man, two of the mines take out 1 roach, so not crazy cost effective. However, cScTuruk does see that that lair is complete for Hyun. He knows he could go for a little bit higher tech now. Although I think the follow-up for cScTuruk is pretty solid. He's not being crazy greedy. Didn't try to get a super fast third. Wants to move into his triple factory, double armory play before he gets up anything significant. So now we're starting to see some Hellions come out and a Viking as well to push away Overlords. And we have Roach speed starting for Hyun. So this looks like a pretty standard ZvP response, at least to the mech style, although we do not have too much gas being taken. Hyun actually hasn't put his drones back on his gas in his main yet.
And this drop didn't do too much damage, but he denied mining time. Hyun went down to 700 income for some seconds here, and he did not start mining as soon as he could after that, so he definitely took a hit there. He's ahead right now on supply, and economically, with his third base being well saturated, he has extra queens, he has started script shredding, but cScTuruk, he's prevented any kind of pressure from Hyun in this game. He's basically in a position he kind of likes right now, I feel, where he's going for his mech army. He started both upgrades. He's going to go for a third command center, and he's just going to try to settle down from there, maybe do a couple of drops. We see a Medivac filled with 4 Battle Hellions right now.
Yeah, moving out across the field. This is a little bit more the harass style that a lot of people have been talking about for Heart of the Swarm. These super strong harassment options from the meching Terran. And I think it's interesting because in Wings of Liberty, a lot of the time, mech for Terran against Zerg was all about going for a timing push with maybe 2-2 upgrades or the 16-minute mark right before Hive. But now with a little bit more of the strength in some of these mech units defensively, we could see a lot more turtling styles. And that seems to be what we're getting out of cScTuruk here. He's going for a pretty late third compared to what a lot of Korean players have been going for. And I feel like he just wants to be super defensive and just make it to this point where he can get a super crazy army and possibly just go for a split map scenario. This map isn't too hard to split. This drop moving in now. See how much it can do. The Roaches are positioned pretty well. Hasn't killed crazy number of drones, actually. cScTuruk's not killed a single drone this game, so his Hellbat drop is going to be shut down pretty effectively by Hyun, not losing too much at all. And Viking going around the map patrolling for Overlords. It's got 2 kills so far, not bad. And we have a lot of Roaches moving out across the center of the field.
And I feel like cScTuruk staying on 2 bases for this long is definitely going to be a handicap for him in this game. He does upgrade very well. He's already started 2-2, and this really reminds me of the 2 Forge builds from Protoss, where when we do it, especially against Terran, we need to stay on 2 bases for a very long time, otherwise we don't have enough units to be able to defend against any kind of big attack that might come our way. And that's exactly what cScTuruk is going for here, but he's going to fall behind economically. He's finally going to take his third, but this is really late. Hyun has a 4th base on the way, and Hyun's economy is just so good right now that I can see this game getting very scary for cScTuruk if he does not make something happen soon, or at least if he does not defend as well as he should against all of those Roaches.
Yeah, I completely agree. One of the big focuses a Zerg player wants to have against meching Terrans or any kind of Terran that opens with a somewhat turtley style is you want to keep the third from going down. Now, Hyun is pulling back his Roaches. As you said, the 4th base is going, so he's not looking to just go end this game really quickly. We do have only +1 Roach attack and armor coming in, so tiny bit of an upgrade advantage for cScTuruk. His 2-2 for mech is about a little bit halfway past done. However, we have that Locust upgrade going for the expanded lifetime. We have Roach Burrow going. We have Burrow actually completed now. So we're going to see possibly a lot more aggression out of Hyun very shortly. He also has Overlord speed. I do not believe he has Overlord drop, but he's also going to start producing Swarm Hosts. So this should be interesting to see how this new unit works against the mech. As a Terran player, I've faced these a little bit. They're pretty good at whittling down armies. Locusts do a lot of damage and have a lot of staying power, and given enough time, they can become very, very cost-effective for Swarm Hosts.
Yeah, I feel like if Turk really masses tanks and Hellbats and then moves out, what ground army can beat him really? It's going to be so tough for Hyun, unless he gets some Vipers and manage to make something happen with some Blinding Clouds. I really don't see how he could beat this ground army. So when do you think actually that Turk is going to move out? Usually I feel like it's a bit random. Sometimes he goes into full turtle mode, sometimes he waits for 200s and he just goes. But when do you feel he should move out if you were him?
Well, personally, he has such little anti-air in his army. I think he either needs to add a lot of Widow Mines or just go for a big push very soon. Turek managed to do a little bit of a run by up to that 4th base, killed a solid number of drones, but the Roaches were able to shut those down. We have the Hive starting now. We have Ventral, Sax, and 2-2. So Hyun's going to move into scary mode with his army pretty soon. And as I said, there are only 4 Vikings in means of anti-air, so I would like to see Turek push out. He doesn't have really any supply available for Thors or even Widow Mines at this point. He's starting his 3-3 mech, but he's going to need a lot of missile turrets if he wants to just turtle up, or possibly he's just assuming that Hyun's going to stay on Pure Roach until he gets Hive.
And Hyun, interestingly enough, is adding on Swarm Hosts to his army right now. He's getting a lot of upgrades. He's finally, getting Ventral Sax, Hive, 2 Spire. So he's going to want to go into that big Broadlord army possibly. And Turk, he has shown no hint of wanting to attack so far. He's going for an extra command center. He's already on 4 bases. He's going to want to take a 5th in the top right-hand position, most likely with a planetary fortress. He might go for a timing with 3-3, but behind this, he's actually adding on 2 more starports and 2 more factories. So maybe a tech switch to be seized, or do you think he's just he just wants to get Vikings against Broodlords?
I think Vikings against Broodlords might be what he wants. It seems to me like Turek wants to go for this really tank, Hellbat heavy composition that's going to allow him to just power through any amount of Roaches. Oh goodness, those Locusts dying so quickly to this force. There are a lot of tanks in this army composition. To me, it just looks like Turek wants to not have to worry about Broodlords, but this ground army should be able to deal with Roaches. In the meantime, we have a big Roach counterattack headed over towards the natural, breaking down the wall, taking out with Siege Tank. There is one more on the high ground. The Roaches barely out of range, but I think from the bottom of that ramp, but they're busting in. This is getting scary. At the same time, Turek is moving in, beginning to take out some Overlords. Only the Swarm Hosts are here to hold his army back.
And right now, Turek is pressing through all the Swarm Hosts are getting chased. Hyun is trying to send them back inside of his main. He's going to burrow them and send some Locusts, but there's just so much for Turek here. In the meantime, those Roaches, their numbers are finally starting to dwindle down. Hyun has only 6 Roaches left in Turek's base. I feel like Turek might have done it here. He just has so much army. It would take Broodlords to defend against this, but Hyun does not have any Broodlords inside here.
Yeah, as I said, one of the best, it's either turtle up or push before Broodlords, and Turek's done a fantastic job of picking his timing. The Spires just completed when he arrived, the Hive was just completed, and he's not going to be able to make too much use of this, and the units coming out of his factory should be able to shut down the Roaches in his base, and Hyun's about to lose all of his tech trying to hold us off with Slowlings against Hellbats, and that's just not going to work. Those units are way too powerful for that type of setup, and it looks like all the reinforcements for Hyun are going to be shut down by Turek, and we may have a Game 1 winner on our hands here.
Yeah, and if I were Hyun here, I would be very disappointed, obviously. He really made nothing happen. He just sat back. He tried to play Wings of Liberty style, and actually he's getting Adrenal Glands before Link Speed here, not realizing he didn't have Link Speed, but I guess not too relevant in this game. But yeah, well, this is definitely the kind of game you do not want to start a best of 9 with.
No, definitely not. And Hyun's going to try to get up to double Spire again. at his third base, or possibly fourth, and another Roach Warren. So he's going to try to pump out a lot of units to maybe whittle this mech army down. But the simple fact of the matter is, even if he manages to kill off this force, there's still economy available for Turek. One single Roach in Turek's base. But Turek's going to push in now towards that fourth of Hyun. The Spire is going to go down. Maybe he was looking to do a Mutalisk transition. We actually have 21 on the way. This could be exactly what Hyun needs to pull this back. There is so little anti-air in this army, Todd.
Yeah, but behind his Turk just has so many factories. He has 5 of them in spec labs already. He could just, and 3 starports. He could just make Taurus and Vikings. Even if those mutas are able to get rid of this army, which they should be able to. I think one more of his base might die, and he's just going to be too far behind economically. Turk, he can just make turrets on each of his bases. He's already remade an extra army, and with 50 supply to 200, I'm really convinced that Turk has done it in this first game.
Yeah, I mean, even the Mutalisks, I mean, the mech army has all these upgrades. There's no upgrades for the Mutalisks, so they're not actually able to kill the mech army before they can shut down the hatcheries. And things are just looking more and more grim for Hyun. He's finished a base at the, almost finished a base at the 4th location that Turek would be taking. But at this point, as you said, we have Thors out of all these factories now. We have more Vikings being made, Viking weapon upgrade being researched, and the rest of this mech army for Turek on the field is going to go down. But Hyun is at 37 supply now, so he's in a little bit of trouble compared to Turek's 177.
Yeah, definitely. And Hyun, he had a great economy, but he just didn't seem to know exactly what to go for this game. He could not decide which composition to go for, and because of that, he just sat there with a lot of roaches that became more and more useless time after time. He tried to go for the counter-attack, but this did not do enough for him to be able to take the game.
Yeah, solid play, but I think, like you said, the big thing there was Hyun really just didn't do much. I felt like he had a lot of roaches. I feel maybe he could have tried to slow down the third base a bit. That's a lot, for making Terran, you really starved on gas, and that third base is so crucial to be able to get up finish your upgrades or finish your army. And Hyun didn't really do much in the way of aggression. Either that or early drops, I think, which we've seen have been really effective, would have been a much better choice for helping to finish this game.
I agree. And I think maybe we should have a short break before the next game begins. This is a best of 9, so we still have a couple games to go. And yeah.